Hard to imagine, but there was a day when getting behind the wheel meant just one thing. We're talking about driving, but fast forward more than a century, and that one thing seems to have turned into about 100, from puckering up in the rear view to shooting off a text or two. In short, it seems driving has taken a backseat to just about everything else in life. And the reality is the consequences.
I flipped in the air and landed on the concrete.
Are becoming more and more real.
I looked over and I seen my leg and I just started screaming. I could see like my bones sticking out. I could see everything. The pain was excruciating. It was really bad. I could feel my blood. It was like boiling.
18-year-old Carrie Houston nearly lost her life that night, and her leg is still in jeopardy, nearly severed by a man allegedly drinking, driving, and texting.
I just barely got hit by a car, you know, and they didn't know it, and yeah. It was really emotional, really traumatic.
In a split second, Carrie's life changed. A 2-word text, and she is now another statistic. Numbers show more than 1,200 people are injured every single day because of distracted driving. Another 15 are killed. Do the math, and the National Safety Council estimates every 24 seconds there is a cell phone-related accident. And if you're finding that hard to believe, just take a look at what we found. KSL spent 5 days driving up and down the Wasatch Front, and we didn't have to look hard to pick out the distractions. There was talking, there was reading, there was primping, there was eating. We followed this woman engaged in some major multitasking along I-15, trying to find a balance between lunch, fiddling with her phone, getting a good read in, and finally breaking out the pen to add a few words.
They seem to lose regard for everything else going on around them.
Ian Peterson's been driving a truck for about 14 years now and says he has seen and heard it all. Drivers changing clothes, eating a bowl of cereal, heating up the romance, and get this.
People changing who the driver of the car is while they're going down the road.
All that while clipping along at freeway speeds. But the reality is that's really not the norm. In our investigation, the one thing that over and over caught our eyes is that many drivers are not using theirs. Chatting it up on her phone, this driver in Salt Lake repeatedly went hands-free from the steering wheel at one time for 11 seconds straight. In Davis County, we caught this car straddling the line, eventually fading into the lane of another car. A closer look here, and the reason becomes obvious. Eyes on phone, phone in hands, and for 22 seconds, it is still unclear how she was even steering it. And we're not done. How'd you like to be the passenger in this car? For more than a minute, he cleans off a pair of sunglasses, plays with the dash, and seems to be involved in a pretty big conversation with the person next to him. Not once did we see his hands touch the wheel. All right, so to put it in perspective, look at the national numbers, and 80% of all accidents out there are the result of some form of distraction. And whether it's talking or texting, studies show it is more dangerous than drinking and driving.
And then at what point do you cross over to saying someone needs to do jail for this before they kill someone? And that is a tough call.
Scott Fisher is a Salt Lake City prosecutor and says Utah is one of the toughest anti-texting laws in the country. But the penalties still lag behind driving drunk. First-time DUI will get you mandatory jail time and a pretty hefty fine. But for texters behind the wheel, likely no jail and likely a smaller fine.
A DUI is treated more serious than texting and driving. Is that true?
Oh, yes. A DUI is treated much more seriously than texting and driving right now.
So does that need to change?
I think there might be an argument that maybe it does.
Take your eyes off the road just to say ha-ha to your wife.
And Carrie Houston would likely agree. She's already had 5 surgeries in 2 short weeks.
Sometimes I get angry, and sometimes I get really emotional about it.
And still has a long, long way to go. Never in a million years did Carrie believe that she would become a statistic. But the truth is,
taking your eyes off the road for 2 seconds, that's why this happened to me.
most of us probably don't either.